Another day and more Nintendo Switch negativity. This is by way of Bloomberg, or this is by way of Go Nintendo from Bloomberg. Uh, and for those who don't know, Bloomberg charges for you to see their articles, and I'm not willing to pay Bloomberg a goddamn dime. Well, I don't have the goddamn dime to give Bloomberg to begin with, so Bloomberg. That's the start of this video. Bloomberg. Anyhow. As most dedicated Nintendo fans know, and I'm just going to read their article. I'm not going to sit here and try to pull an excerpt or anything like that. As most dedicated Nintendo fans know, we don't know a single thing about this. Yeah, you should have said, as most dedicated Nintendo fans don't know, is a single bit of information about the Switch successor. That's the way it should have started. At least not officially. There are rumors and rumblings, scuttlebutt, and leaks, but the big N has remained quiet on their next gen hardware. Still, analysts apparently feel more than comfortable predicting the next platform's success or lack thereof. That's what gets me here. And I feel like doing this in the voice of the preacher, Reverend Lovejoy from The Simpsons. From The Simpsons, let's do this. A new report from Bloomberg has gathered comments from various analysts around the world, and they all seem to agree no one are on one thing, no one.
You blew it.
On one thing, the Switch's successor is going to fail to meet the same reach that the current Switch has achieved. Again, this is just based on speculation and predictions on what the new platform will offer, so take their comments with an extremely large grain of salt. Take that salt, take a big container of salt and chug it. Just down all that salt because it's probably not true. So here's a quote, and I do believe this is straight from Bloomberg. It's like in our 5 year earnings estimates, we do not see profits during the next generation hardware cycle surpassing peak profits of the Nintendo Switch cycle. Well, that's a given. It's going to be the beginning of a new piece of hardware for Nintendo. It's a given they're not going to see huge profits right off the bat. I don't even think the original Switch saw all that big of profits right off the bat. But let's continue. Um, this could change if the hardware turns out to be a new concept hardware rather than a successor along the same lines as the Nintendo Switch. I don't agree with this at all. I think if anything, Nintendo needs to kind of stick with the concept they have now. They had several concepts for the Switch though. There's a several ideas going on at once. There's the removable controllers that have the HD rumble thing, you know? It has that. There's the simple concept of being able to plug it into your TV or take it on the go. That's a simple concept, and I think that's the concept everybody latched onto. They loved that idea. I think a lot of people love the idea of being able to just plop it into their TV. Other people just like the idea of taking a, to quote Richard Masucci on Review Tech USA, AAA experiences on the go, which, to be fair, we have two other consoles right now that are and I'm a little too close to this mic, and this mic is a little too high. I'm not starting over. I'm going to check it after this. We're going to see how it does. But as he states it, it's AAA experiences on the go. But here's the thing. Nintendo didn't have that at the beginning, and I've reiterated this, and he's wrong. He's wrong. Nintendo Switch was successful in spite of those AAA experiences. They came later after the Switch was already a success. I don't think he knows how to look at history. I don't think he knows how to do any kind of research and look back. He keeps saying that the Switch was so big because of the AAA experiences it got at one point. No, it was big anyways. It got big on its own. Okay? Those AAA experiences came after that. But now we have things like the Steam Deck. We have Steam Deck, ROG Allies, and all that. And believe it or not, those things can be plugged into a television or a monitor or whatever you want to use. They can be plugged into those things. I'm holding the speaker. Get over it. I don't have a boom arm. Get over it. Um. So, what could Nintendo do with the next Switch? There's a few ideas in my head. A simple VR mode. I mean, it's called the Switch. If it's still able to switch between different modes, like a transformer, like a game console that's a transformer, then why not add a simplistic VR mode? You could get a VR headset thing that it slides into. Like something real simple like that. I mean, the original Switch could kind of do that. There was a few things. Plus, they're saying that the screen will be bigger. Okay, well, if the screen is bigger, then you can do some VR stuff with it. And and here's the thing: I don't mean the same level of VR as we get from an Oculus. All right, and I'm not gonna call it a Meta. Meta's a stupid name. It's a stupid name for a company. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Anyhow, and I got a lot of things I got to censor. Anyhow, so the Switch is gonna have to do more. I think what I'm trying to say here is, if it had like a Virtual Boy 2.0 as part of its abilities to switch between modes. If it had like a Virtual Boy 2, and I know the original Virtual Boy was a complete failure, but there's a reason it was a complete failure. It was poorly conceived. Like it was a great, or not poorly conceived, but poorly released in a bad state. It wasn't released in a full state. Like if it had come out with full color and everything, I think a lot of people would have loved it. I think it would have done tremendously well. And I hate using that word now because of an orange-faced loser that we had for president. He used that word over and over again, but it works here. It had a tremendous lack of. It had a tremendous lack of features that the original Virtual Boy could have had. It didn't have, and if it had had it, I think it would have been a bigger success than it was. I think it needs to the whole idea of this needs to be redeemed, and I think a Switch 2 having some sort of VR mode could help with that. I mean, it could what was that word I was about to say about the Virtual Boy? It could redeem the Virtual Boy in a way. I would like to see that. They could add other things that you can do with the Switch, is what I'm trying to say. Like the core concept could still be there with more power, but then they could add in other ideas. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm hoping and expecting them to do. I'm just saying. Um, so yeah, someone named Manami Manukata, an analyst at Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated, quote, "We do not think the new console will be as successful as the Switch and see potential profit taking after the announcement." That is a horribly contrived sentence. I'm not even sure what to say about that. But having covered analyst commentary and predictions for the better part of 20 years, I can definitely say that comments like this are a dime a dozen. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with Go Nintendo here. Some analysts end up getting things right, and others are completely off the mark. It's all a crapshoot in the end, no matter how educated some analysts may consider their predictions to be. Okay, all right, that's by way of Go Nintendo. I don't agree with this shit. They don't know. I don't even think they had very high hopes for the original Switch. They didn't have high hopes for the original Switch, and the original Switch did tremendously well. So I don't think we can go by what they say. They don't know. They don't know the future. They don't know what the Switch is going to be. And I don't think that just because the new Switch, when it comes out, I don't think just because it sticks with the same concept, I don't think that means doom. I don't. It also has something to do with how Nintendo approaches it. The Wii U was such a bomb because they didn't they slipped up in a lot of ways. They got too cocky. What is it with companies getting too cocky when they come off the success of one device? They're a little cocky and they don't think things through carefully. When the Wii U came out, number one, the name alone confused the hell out of people. Also, showcasing the controller and leaving people in the dark didn't help things. The average consumer is not going to, they're going to maybe see that controller and think it's just some inexpensive add-on for the original Wii. And a lot of people thought that. The naming alone was confusing as hell. They were like, who was it? Reggie Fils-Aimé was there on stage and he goes, This is Wii U, and they showed the Wii U, and it just starts with them holding a gamepad. Everybody thought that gamepad was Wii U. People thought the gamepad was Wii U. They didn't think it was a full-blown console. They didn't think any of this. They didn't expect the price to be that expensive either. I'm just saying. So now we have now we're going into the Switch. If they name it right, they have to name it right. Number one, name it right. Name it correctly. Give it a name that people can get behind. If you call it the Super Switch, people are not going to be confused. Just like from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, nobody was fucking confused. All right? It wasn't overthinking things. The same thing when they went from Game Boy to Game Boy Color. That was very simple. People got it just by hearing it. Oh, it's a Game Boy that's color. It's in the name. And then when they went from the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance, oh, it's an advanced Game Boy. People got that naming convention. All right? So if you're going to go from Switch to something else, it needs to be, well, it either needs to be Switch 2 or Switch Advance or Super Switch. And no, not Super Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo Super Switch. It should just be Super Switch, the SS, the NSS. Like, just go with that. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit there and overthink it, Nintendo. And I think making a more powerful Switch is honestly the way to go. But I also think that they're going to, they're going to slip some other gimmick in to try and hook you, right? They're going to slip something else in. They're going to announce something that makes the Switch the Switch successor stand out from the predecessor. They're going to. So those two things I can guarantee you are going to happen. Okay, when it comes out, it's going to have better hardware, and they're going to come up with a name that people latch onto. As long as it's simple. I don't know if Switch Pro is going to resonate with the average consumer. I just don't think it will. Super Switch will resonate a little bit more. Number one, it'll tickle the nostalgia itch. It's going to tickle some nostalgic
You blew it.
senses. You know, the senses of nostalgia are going to be tickled quite a bit by older gamers, you know. And people just get when something's super. It's not like the original. It's super. I don't know if they'll ever go with that again. But also, just doing what Sony's done for years. People get it when a new PlayStation comes out because it's PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, it's just numbered each time. So I feel like the next Nintendo console is going to possibly either have a name that people get. They're going to think much more careful and not just call it Switch U. I'm just saying. Which it doesn't sound right. It sounds like some BDSM shit. Switch you. I don't know. So I don't know. I know that they're going to do something. That's the thing. Nobody knows anything. We know nothing. And Nintendo, if you're seeing this, Nintendo, you need to think very carefully about what you're doing. Okay? Very carefully. The name needs to work. You got to add in something new, of course. You can't just make it more powerful. And I think you know this. I think everybody knows this at this point. My concern is they're going to release it'll be backwards compatible on the one hand, but on another hand, even though it's backwards compatible, they're going to release a version that doesn't have a cartridge slot. And that's going to be the more affordable version. People are going to buy it and not pay attention. They're going to get it home and try and play their physical collection of Switch games on it because it's backwards compatible. And it's not going to fucking work. I have got a lot of things that I need to censor out in this video. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? Please rate, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm trying to build this channel. There's so many times I get depressed and I want to give up, but come on, people. I'm trying here. Here's a new video for you. It hasn't been that long, and here's a new one. This has been The Goof. I'm out. See you later.